This podcast is presented by Rabbi Peretz Muchkin, speaking to the millennial generation.
I'm recording right now with Lauren and Arielle, and all you need to know is I got to marry them both, but way before that, I got to know them both and enjoy their company and spend many a Shabbat dinners and learning. And so I'm so excited to have you guys on and to have a conversation here, just to catch up Jewishly, spiritually. What's going on over there? You're where are you, Arielle?
I'm in Redwood City, California.
Oh yeah, and
Where are you?
Lauren. Oh, where am I? I
No,
am in a I'm in a makeshift studio I created in my garage in Los Angeles.
Wow. Look at you. You have a garage. So nice.
Balling out over here.
Pulling with your garage.
Lauren, where are you?
I'm in Chicago.
All
Freezing.
right. That's right. Well, we're all in this together. So my heat here and your cold there, somewhere in the middle, we're in perfect temperature.
I think you're crazy. It's freezing here, and I wish I was in LA with you.
Well, the topic I wanted to discuss with you guys is Shabbat, because really the time I got to spend the most time with both of you guys was on Shabbos, and yet they were very different experiences. First, I met Arielle in San Francisco, and when I moved to LA, she introduced me to all of her good friends, and of those friends, Lauren really became like my bestie. And we learned a lot of Jewish mysticism, Shabbat mornings, drank gallons of coffee, and went very deep. And we had these amazing classes. But it really comes down to it was Shabbos. That was like the spice that really brought you guys into my life and built our relationship. And I happen to think that Shabbos is the best time to meet people because, especially at a Shabbos table, less distractions. You allow yourself to exit the stage of like the external world's issues and just sit internally with good company and good conversation. So I wanted to share some of that magic here on the pod here in honor of turning 40 and being with some of my favorite people. So I feel so lucky to have you both on, and it's appropriate because I met you, Lauren, through Arielle. So that was an amazing thing. It was so hard to leave San Francisco, and Arielle was reluctant to introduce me to all her friends. She's like, I don't want you to be successful. Come back over here, hang with me. But overall, it was great times. Those dinners were epic, Arielle. Those were good times.
But we really were missing your Shabbat bride, Miriam. She really is a part of this whole thing of Shabbat.
No doubt that she belongs here in the conversation. I told her that as much. And she said she deserves her own episode with you guys. I said, no problem. That's it. Done. It'll happen.
True. Probably true.
Well, I'll handle my end of it. As I was doing dishes today from Shabbat yesterday, flexing my helping to this process. The Friday nights that were going on in San Francisco at that time, when Arielle was around, were really special in the sense that it was like a special time in our life. Forget just pre-COVID. It was like post my center. I had a center in San Francisco for years, and then we stopped having a center and we're doing everything out of our like house. We lived in like a museum. And we had all different types of crowds coming all the time. But Arielle was a mainstay, one of the mainstays. Her Brian would come all the time. And just what I remember then was that everything was about meaning and intentionality. It was about how like using Shabbos as my food becoming a more intentional experience, the guests, the conversation, everything was about this intentionality. And Arielle's a super intentional person. We've done a podcast before on health and different like that. How is that translated now into your new life? You have a baby, you got married. Like what's Shabbat like for you now? Like what have you taken from those experiences? I like to know like how you emulated what you got by us. Did it work? Did my selling of Shabbat work?
Yeah, we light candles on Friday, or I light candles on Friday night. Matan does the kiddush sometimes. But we always make sure that we're together on Friday night. Like that's a thing. When he plans poker on Friday night, it's not a pretty story.
Oh, it's beautiful. I've more than once advised people that the only way to make their house a better place to live is to change the culture of the house. And the way you change the culture of the house is like having a night where you don't just Netflix and chill. You really, create an environment for where you put things together, you put those candles on the table, you set an environment and intention. And then slowly you can really start seeing, like, well, what is the culture of our house? What type of vibes are we really creating here? And that's how you could fix things. That's how you could heal, the environment you're in.
In addition, we invite people over every Friday night. So we always have someone over.
Okay, there you go. That makes me so happy. That's the highest level of
Yeah.
Shabbat, is bringing people together.
Yeah. And now we have a hot tub. So it's candles, dinner, hot, or
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's the Shabbos I need.
I'm
There
gonna
you
tell
go.
friend enjoy that hot tub. So
And what's Shabbos like in Chicago?
Chicago Shabbos is similar. We're always together and we're making a dinner. And a lot of times we really like to host people and have people over. So a lot of times we'll have like a Friday night Shabbat dinner and have friends over. Like that is our night to have people over. A lot of times it's just Jason and I. But we definitely make an effort to light the candles. And when I learned how to make your amazing sourdough bread, I started incorporating that instead of making challah.
Wow, that's a
So, and
great
now I
ritual.
can say I've pretty much not perfected it, but got it down pat, you know? So, I like to
Yeah,
bring
I mean,
people
listen,
over, break bread.
your sourdough exploits were just a matter of time. In the beginning, you were sending me these texts like, "When's it gonna look as good as yours?" And I'm like, "You'll see. It's just gonna
I
click and
know.
come together."
I know. Yeah, I just needed a couple more lessons and YouTube videos and trial and error, but
That's right.
verify it's perfect.
It is, right? She makes amazing sourdough. I can't. We're gonna have to get back together and make it happen again.
I learned
Um,
from you from Shabbat.
that's
That's where
what
we
it's
met.
about.
I think you sent Jason and I with a loaf of bread because it was so good. We needed some for our road trip. And
Oh
ever
my
since
gosh.
I've been addicted.
I think like it's one of those things where when you have like a staple item, you could build off that,
For
and
sure.
bread is the highest staple item. And sourdough, when you make it, is just a fantastic experience. Like it's a living, breathing experience. So I'm so proud to have shared my skills and talents with you to make it happen.
I know
Speak.
my next thing I'm gonna conquer is cholent. I haven't done it. I did
Whoa.
it this weekend, but
I just put the recipe online for you. I gave you
I know.
the bones of that recipe.
Can't wait.
Well, this is an interesting time in the world for Shabbat, because as people think of getting out of COVID, and I mean, we're hoping it's over at least, and people are starting to get together again. I think it's good to talk about what it means to get together for Shabbos, because like that's the real thing is not like getting out of COVID. The real thing is being back in the presence of people, and talking about real things and having meaningful conversation over the dinner table. And I think there's a big difference between going out for dinner at a restaurant versus hosting in your house, because the effort it takes in your house just makes every element of it more meaningful. And ultimately, the goal of Shabbos and its meaningful and intention is that your whole life, it spills over into your life. Everything about your life becomes intentional. Ultimately, the difference between believing in God or having rituals, or but just getting to the core of Judaism is living an intentional life. And that means learning to see every action and every part of the process. And you see it in the cooking, and you see it in like the way you have to clean and take care of things. It's like it like just requires intentionality. And that's
And
really ultimately what this is about.
yeah, and it's just such a more of an intimate experience, between if it's just two of you or if it's a table for 10, it's just such a better and more intimate and, like you said, intentional experience when you're having people at your house. You are making a meal, and you are bringing people together over food, which I think
So
is a
what
very Jewish thing to do.
that is the Jewish thing to do, right? That is what we
Yes.
do. Yeah. So I've learned with both of you many times over the years. We've learned lots of different mystical things. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit of mysticism on Shabbat, just because for our learning and for our conversations, I feel like it drives a bit of it. And one of the things that Shabbat means, the word itself, Shabbat means, is to be situated, to be present. And a big part of life today, especially with tech and fast paced, and the world changing constantly day to day, and outside stresses and anxieties and etc. What really the first chip to fall that's very hard to bring back is the idea of being present and totally being like in the moment, available in the most healthy way. And one of the things that Shabbat is here for is for that presence. So one of the ways it's accomplished is by unplugging, but a deeper way it's accomplished is just recognizing that there's one day that's different than other days, like totally changing the pace of your week and creating a space around it. And that means that every ritual of Shabbat, whatever you do, it's two people, it's guests, it's sourdough, challah, it's light candles, each and every one of those things are part of being present. They're different than that you do on a regular basis. And even if you do them on a regular basis, when you're doing them for Shabbat, they're about the idea of being present and being focused. Ariel's got a little baby taking a nap. There's absolutely the idea of being present with your child, right? And totally being like focused in on them and not going in different directions. Shabbos is really there to heal that and to bring that to a center focus of my life. So you guys who already have such a like taste for this in your life, I'm so excited and happy to hear that it's something that's part of your culture and you bring people to your houses, and even if you don't, it's not like, oh, no one's here, so we should do nothing. We should still bring it together. That to me is the most. It sounds simple, but it's really the biggest thing to do, and you guys are steps ahead. So I hope whoever's checking in on us is like usually, because I'm always like, they go, a rabbi, okay, he does it. That's what they do. But I think it's a person living in the world that people can relate to entirely, that are doing it, that really is what inspires people to try these things out. Like, you're having issues in your life, you don't realize that there's actually a fix, and that is create a different space, create a space to be present, and create a different cultural setting in your house that allows like this fluidity and this patience and this beauty to reside in your life.
I just want to point out that in Israel on Saturday, it tangibly feels different. Like every other day of the week feels like something, and Shabbat feels different.
You just spent time in Israel?
Yeah, I was there September, October, November.
Yeah, what was it like spending Shabbat over there with Matan's family and the different people there?
Well, so his family lives outside of Tel Aviv. We had an apartment in Tel Aviv, and it really didn't matter if you're in Tel Aviv or in Yehud. It felt different than every other day of the week. So on Friday afternoons in Tel Aviv, like people set up like these shops on Dizengoff, like or not just shops, like little tables, and they're selling things, and there's like this not franticness, it's like an excitement, but also got to beat the clock to get everything ready. And then like the city clears out, everyone goes to their parents, and then we spent the night in Yehud, even if when we were in Tel Aviv. And on Saturday day, it's like all you hear is the children outside in the play yard, because
Wow.
they're religious over there, so they're not watching TV, and people are walking. It's really family oriented, but I think I felt it more in Yehud, where people are more religious, and in Tel Aviv, where there's like doesn't matter how many, like if it's daylight savings or it's standard time, people are racing the clock to get to get ready right before the sun goes down.
So what did you take back with you to the States, to Northern California? What did you bring back from you of those vibes?
Spices from the shuk. Also, like I used to feel like I need to wait for Matan to be ready to light the candles, and if like he was busy doing something, then I might not do it. And now I just like light the candles on my own. In his family's house, like the candles were getting lit at like 4:30 in the afternoon, because it was getting
Yeah,
dark early.
whenever it gets dark, yeah.
Yeah, and it really didn't matter who was around; they got lit. So I started doing that. Also,
That's
like the
That's a
level of
really, by the way, that to me is it's so interesting to me that you intuitively found that and did that, because that's really the way it should be. People are as soon as you start waiting for everybody, then it's like some weeks it won't happen and like that, but it's really, you're like, okay, I'm setting the tone of the house. Even if we're not entirely ready, if I light the candles as the sun goes down, I'm marking that the day is changing. I think
And
that's
you like
like
get ready.
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
totally.
Well,
get ready.
And then the
Yeah.
other on Saturday day was always the day that we'd go and visit Matan's like extended family. And every house I went to, there was a giant plate of walnuts and pistachios and dates and cookies. So now I just always have a prepared platter of nuts and dates. Like I don't know who's coming over, so it's just always ready in case someone's coming over. Because I want people to come into my house and feel like they're welcome and they're being taken care of. So that's what I do.
You're the great hostess. What a transformation. You're the best.
Arielle is one of the best hostesses. Before we met Parrots and Arielle lived in LA, we used to do Shabbat dinners at her house.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
themed Shabbat dinners.
We used to do themed Shabbat dinners, like Mexican theme and this theme, and yeah.
Tell me
And
more.
Characters of LA in the house doing
Arielle
Shabbat.
would have a bunch of different people circling her house for Shabbat dinner. There was consistent people, like I come every week, mostly, and then yeah, she was running her own Chabad basically.
Wow. Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, we're all supposed to make our homes a center of light. You know, and then she sent me to replace her to here in LA to give you the continuation.
Yeah, and it
But
worked.
I think yours have more meaning from a Talmudic perspective than ours ever did.
But you laid the foundation for her to come. You know, there's a big debate in Jewish mysticism of what's more important, the intention or the action. So you would think that it's a simple matter because the action is everything ultimately, like something needs to happen. But
Yeah.
the answer is that without intention, the action itself doesn't necessarily live up to its full potential. And so all I could say is that even if like you think like you're not doing it exactly the way maybe it should be done, oh, I do it this way, you do it better. You had intention, you had action, that's it. And then every time you do it, it gets better and deeper and more meaningful. And now you're like in prep mode and getting it ready early on mode. And yeah, so I want some live advice. What advice do you give Lauren, you know, when in setting up her house? You're just a little bit ahead. You guys spent a lot of time together. What type of tricks could she do to get her Chicago home a beacon of Shabbos light?
I don't know that Lauren needs it. She's rocking it.
Wow.
Thanks.
So votes of confidence. Perfect.
I don't have a Saturday platter.
It's not a Saturday platter. Everyday platter.
No, it's an everyday platter.
It's constantly available for being
I do not have
for
an
hosting.
everyday platter. We do have dates ready for anybody, but don't have a platter.
I love it.
Although I've discovered we have so many platters in our house, so I think I could probably make one. That's something I can add to I do it on Saturdays, you know, a Saturday Shabbat platter.
This Friday night we had like our first indoor dinner with a group of people. We did it at somebody else's house. It was I was having such emotional vibes. Like it's been so long since I've had like a crew of people and really get to spend time. And it's really what I love to do. And it just brought up so many like images of all the different people that were part of that experience for us. And you know, it's really I think it's one of those things that I never really packaged and sold totally. But the thing that inspires me the most about what I do is when I could do something that's replicable. And you guys have replicated that energy one way or the other. You've made it happen. And that's to me the whole thing is like you know, learning from each other best practices, peer-to-peer support and encouragement and confidence goes way further than a rabbi doing it or something like that. So you guys are like real inspiration of like friends who encouraged each other for no reason other than you guys saw the light yourself to make a more healthy environments in your life. And that's to me sometimes a lot more important than a rabbi telling you to do something. So you guys are really don't think less of it. Like you know, it's incredible that you brought this into your life. It's not intuitive like it used to be. You know, you have to go out and make it happen.
I think we really get through our single lives too. You know, it's like Friday night, single, didn't necessarily have a date. But parents is it's like lots of love and like the potential to meet someone, and that was important too.
But it's just like another way to be together with people and you know, come down from your week. Like it's such a weird, I think Friday night is such a hard night for a lot of people. Like they don't want to go out, they don't want to do anything. It's like the end of the work week, they're tired. but it's like the perfect night to have a Shabbat dinner,
Yeah, it's
and
it's
come
such a
together.
it's such a great point. That's why we sing the Shalom Aleichem, right? And I always pause and give that speech that it's
Yeah.
like, what do we need to talk about angels for Friday night? Well, it's because it's actually very hard to go from weekday to Shabbat. And the reason is you said coming down from the week. I look at it like it's even harder because you have to go up. Like a whole week you have to like fulfill all these obligations, whether it's your job or the physical part of your life, and then on Shabbat you're asked to be the spiritual pristine self, and like to get to like the real you. That's really hard to accomplish and to get to. And so we sing Shalom Aleichem because there's like this you get this there's this beautiful Jewish concept that when you set the right intention, the cosmic forces are there to support you.
Mhm.
Like it's sort of like if you see the world as a place that has the potential to be fluid and interconnected and harmonious. Let's say you just like, I know it's possible, even if you're cynical and say it's never going to happen and no one's ever going to get along, but you just like can build up in your mind that it's possible to be a fluid place. Well, that means that if you do things harmoniously and beautifully, the world supports that. Like inherently, the cosmic forces of the world are there to support you in that. When you live just for yourself, interestingly enough, the world doesn't support that. That's why it's more of like so many parts of the world are all fighting for their own survival. So everything's in conflict. But if everybody was like fighting to be harmonious, it wouldn't be in conflict. It would be like it would spill over. And that's what we do Friday night. We sing Shalom Aleichem about angels, peace, angels of like saying like there's angels represent couriers of energy, helping like things transform from one part type of energy to another. And that's what we get Friday night. Like as soon as you commit to like, okay, I lit the candles, I'm here, I'm doing dinner, it's like this feeling takes over you, this energy takes over that allows you to like shift into a new space. I can't tell you how many weeks of mine were saved by Shabbos. I mean, I should say every week, but so many like super stressful, challenging times. And then Friday night, just making the commitment to not think about the week. Like, I'll get back to you Saturday night, man. But right now, Friday night, I'm taking a step out of it. I sing the Shalom Aleichem. I mean it. I share how I feel, a little different iteration every week. And then as soon as I feel it, I say, okay, now who can I channel that to? Who's stressed out in their life? Who's sick? Who's got issues? And Seitchem L'Shalom. I say the last part and channel that good vibes that I just started with. I don't have to wait for it to totally take me over. I'll let the wine do that or the challah do that. As soon as I say in my mind like I'm here and I'm present, I shift over and share it with the people around me. And that's how this begins for me really. So I think you're really onto that idea of like you getting back to yourself. It's like this elevation. I want to be me, and a whole week I don't always even have time for myself. Even when you make time for yourself, it's to zone out from the things you don't want to deal with. So that's not what we're looking for. Shabbos, we're looking to really hone in on us and the parts of ourselves that perhaps need nurture.
I have to tell you that Navo doesn't really cry that much, but when he does, ever since he was born, Matan started singing Shalom Aleichem, and it's the only thing that calms him down. So
Aw,
now, Shalom Aleichem every night.
that's so special. You could sing it every night.
Every night. It's not just a Shabbat tradition now in this household.
It is a calming song though.
It is. It's a nice man.
It's
Yeah.
there's different versions of it, but don't forget that the song after Shalom Aleichem is about the woman of valor. It's about singing about femininity and where feminine energy resides within yourself. And when I was a kid, it was like, oh, you honor your mother. But now when I'm older, I'm like, yeah, you have to honor your mother and your wife and all that. But there's also you're honoring the femininity within yourself, and that means the part of yourself that needs specifically needs your attention. And anyways, I'm more of like looking at like the whole entire Shabbos is called the Shabbos Queen. It's basically all about this idea of like what am I nurturing myself? Am I recognizing that I can birth life into the world and I could bring dynamic energy to the world around me? That's really like the highest shift you can get to, is seeing what the essence of being a woman and femininity really is, which is, by the way, everybody, men and women, because ultimately in creation terms, all of creation is feminine because it creates a space of where things are existing already, and we just develop them and nurture them and create the space for them to grow, and then they're allowed to live. Whereas the man, that's not, it's really a persona of man, like I'm my own person. Not really. No one's their own person. Everybody's interconnected. So Shabbos is when we actually do, during the week, we forget about that, because when we work, we like beef ourselves up, men and women, like, oh, I could do this. I'm strong. I'm powerful. But on Shabbat, we're like, no, I'm a part of the universe, the harmony that nurtures my part of it and makes it better. So there's really such a strong and powerful energy that exists there that's happening to you, whether you're totally focused on it or not. And so, yeah, I look forward to that every week.
What's the song after?
Eshed Chayil, Eshed Chayil Miyimtza. You know that one?
Yeah.
We could do a whole
I don't think
thing
I
on
know
that.
it very well, but I know that when you sing it.
There you go. Amazing. Yeah, I'm super pumped that the world knows that I have such a deep relationship with both of you. That was the point of this. I just wanted to put it out there. You guys being so much to my Shabbat dinners of the last 16 years. You played such a big role over it. And I just I'm super inspired by you guys emulating that and bringing that beauty to your own homes.
Okay, I have a Shabbat question.
Take it away.
Is it true that it is a double mitzvah to have sex with your partner on Shabbat?
It is definitely true. True.
Okay. I want to make sure it wasn't a myth.
It wasn't meant. No myths around here. These parts. The it says that the mitzvah night is Friday night or Shabbat,
Ah.
and the reason is because whenever you let go of the working world, the external world, and you focus in on your internal depth and reality, you realize that when you focus internally, you're touching the concept of intimacy. Intimacy is an internal experience, right? You have to create the external space, meaning you have to work, you have to make a life, you have to create a space to be intimate within. But then ultimately, intimacy is personal. And that's why intimacy is represented by sex and no clothing and togetherness, because that is like, it's a space of exclusivity that you create. Whereas the world, it's really not exclusive. It's we all working together, making money off one another, and sharing the bounty and abundance, even in the best forms, right? The harmony we speak about. But in order to have real intimacy, you have to create exclusivity. And there's this exclusive energy that you have within yourself that only belongs to you, right? That you can't even share. And even you, it's elusive for. But Friday night, because we have this like special capacity to tap into our personal selves, we just open the door for true intimate experiences. So mystically, Friday night is the night to open that door and to create a ritual out of that as well, not just for the food element, but also for the physical element becomes elevated that way.
That's so good to know.
This is part of creating the culture in your house.
Good. Good to know. Friday night. Special night.
Yeah, I listen, it's a good question to have. And the only reason why I think that sometimes people ask, like, oh, how come that's not that question is like, I never heard of that. Well, that's because things when it comes to intimacy in Judaism, it's like, I wouldn't say you're on a need to know basis. It's like you don't want it to become the household knowledge. You want it to be the couplehood, like it's part of the couplehood, like to create that space. We all have times where we just get so busy with life that we're just so exhausted. But like if you had like a real like organic type of flow and schedule to your partnership, it just takes off so much of the edge. It allows there for that space to really be had. So creating that intimate space is also like using your boundaries to create connection. Usually we use our boundaries just for ourselves. Intimacy has the power to use boundaries to create connection. Usually we use love for connection, but love without boundaries is a limited experience. It's because I could be stepped on, and I could be pushed to my limits. But when you have boundaries, it creates the ability for there to be knowledge of how to create the exclusive space to incorporate the other person. So this, you have the meta version of it. You have Shabbat, so you have the exclusive time within the week that's available to it. And then you have you guys celebrating it. So you have the personhood, and together you create a really strong, intimate space that of exclusive space in your couplehood for that to happen. So Shabbos really allows that organically to happen because it's already built into the what we're calling the structure of the universe.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, well, please
Always
incorporate
learning
it.
something new around you.
What's your okay, Lauren? You got to ask your Shabbos question then. I don't know if you have one. And
I feel the pressure. I don't have a Shabbos question.
all right, I'll strike it from the record then.
Strike it from the record. I'm sorry. I didn't come prepared with my question.
Post edit.
I didn't come prepared.
Oh, good stuff. Well,
I've
I
learned
just
so much from you. So.
Well, I just again, anytime you guys want to come on the podcast, you're welcome to. And of course, we should continue doing our learning. Once this podcast is over, like I do my 40, I'm going to invite everybody to join a weekly session. We're going to have to try to do that. We're going to have to get on the Zoom together. And I just have people now all over the world. It's really wild to think that everybody I know lives somewhere else. And yeah, but next time Miriam's got to be on. We'll do that.
Yeah.
That will make it complete.
Let's have a final thought, perhaps like taking all this good vibes over here. We're not isolated from the world. There's still pain and suffering in the world. And when you do something beautiful like Shabbat and intimacy, like you could connect it to the world by saying like, right now, I need to make the world a little better right here. There are times where I have to go be activist, and there are times where I have to right now live in love and harmony. And when it comes to Shabbat, it's like today's day and age, you want to take your phone and be like, oh, I want to see the news, what's going on. And I'm like, instead of that, the world also needs people who are totally present and joyful and creating intimate, beautiful moments. So I just want to bless you guys to continue having the inspiration and success in your marriages and in your lives and in your health to create beautiful moments. And the whole world thanks you and thanks everyone every time they do something special and something beautiful. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת השם תריצי על ידי שבהם פרצי ונשמחה